On this week's episode, I'm going to show you how I made my Same As It Never Was Mikey from the 2003 cartoon episode of the same name. So let's do it. So to start off, I'm using a Leonardo figure. I have a Michelangelo figure, but the Leonardo figure has the right look on his face. It's like a cynical, bitter, well, not really, but I'll make it look like Mikey from the future because it looks a lot more like my reference, which you'll see on the screen now. But and then the first step is covering them all with a matte varnish to work as my primer, and let that dry. Or while that's drying, it's dried enough that I can touch it. I'm using some spackling to fill in the cracks on his bandana and head, or well, between his bandana and head, because he's gonna have a full bandana over the top of his head. And now I'm using a craft foam. It's a 2mm foam, and I cut it out in the shapes that I'm gonna be sticking to him for his shoulder pad and his knee pads and his arm that's missing that I dipped in boiling water. I forgot to mention, and then pulled it off. I did that instead of cutting it off because that way if I find another figure in the future that's missing his left forearm and hand, I can, use that hand. But I painted him green that I mixed to better match the Michelangelo, and now that's Nickelazzo gold. I painted his pads to look more leather. And now I'm mixing some silver in with the black to get a kind of gunmetal color that I'm painting over his pieces that I already painted black that I cut out of the foam. Yeah. I do that and move on to the first coat of orange on his bandana so that he'll look like Michelangelo like he's supposed to. And yeah, if you like, that's just it's pure pumpkin orange, and that's just my base layer. It's gonna be darker by the end. Now I have a raw sienna is the color I like to use on his chest, and it's a little darker than it was. It makes it look aged. But now for his scars, I mixed some hunter green, which was also in my color I mixed for his color, and with some brown to get his scar color. Yeah. And now I just dry brush his shell with the same green that I used for his body. And now I have these thin, like suede lace, but I needed it thicker, so I glued two together for his belt. These, he has a couple little pouches that I just used some scrap leather I had from making Raph's jacket, and I just folded it up. I glued a little piece in the middle to make it thicker, but just a really easy way to make a little bag. I didn't make it open. But now I mixed some red with the orange to start to get more of the color that I want for his bandana face mask, and get at that. But move on to the next. I'm dry brushing some silver onto his new pads and pieces, the metal pieces that he has on, or he will have on, but in the episode he has them on. And I added a little more red to that orange, and then gave him another quick coat. Well, it wasn't that quick, but I made it happen quick, because how many times do you have to see me paint his mask orange? But I put on off camera while they were charging clear coat, and that dried, and now I'm covering them with a black wash, just black acrylic and water, and there might be a little bit of brown mixed in there as well from a brown wash I made previously and just poured them together. But just getting in all the cracks and want to bring out the details, and then wipe off any excess that's hanging around. And this will, start to bring everything out and also give some different shades and tones. And now that that dried, or I'm I glued on his stub, and then the piece that wraps around that, and his knee pads that I made to look like silver. And now these are some little pieces I ordered from Amazon, and they're just like belt loops. So I've got 2 different sizes, and he's got that shotgun shells on that strap. And to make those, I got some red wire and just cut little pieces of it because they're red shells. And that's a thin piece of leather I just put on over it as a strap that's holding them in place. But I glued them in place, and now I start to attach his different belts and stuff that I made out of the lace, then his shoulder piece, and now his knee pads. I'm just adding on top the knee pads that he had with the metal plate, I guess. But it's not metal, it's foam, but I made it look like metal. Now, I wasn't planning on making nunchucks, but I was looking through my scrap materials and saw there are plugs for drywall screws, and they happen to be orange and be a little bit spiky, like his nunchucks are. So I use a craft gel glue to hold the twist tie in place, and then I paint some black and some silver on to make them match his nunchucks better. And then I hit Mikey with another clear coat to help everything blend together, and a clear coat on the nunchucks. Alright, well, we're almost there. Now I'm gonna give the nunchucks a quick black wash to bring out their details a little bit more. And that's it. That's what he looks like. He was a pretty easy, fun project. I hope you liked it. Until next time, remember, always keep your head up. Peace. And if you saw my shirt that I'm wearing, it's my logo merch. You can find a link in the bottom of the description. Thanks a lot. Peace.